YouTube, it's Grace again, and today I'm actually going to be doing my most anticipated book releases of October 2016. So this is a new sort of series that I'm just like kind of testing on my channel to see the sort of response that I get. And essentially the aim of this series of videos, which will be monthly, is to introduce some new releases that may be like the first book of the series that maybe you haven't heard about before and maybe you don't know much about. So yeah, I haven't got as many books as I did last month because I honestly couldn't find that many that appealed to me that were first books in the series or even standalones or whatever. So yeah, that's my reasoning. So let's get into it. So the first book I have is Glitter by Aprilynne Pike. This book will be released on the 25th of October. So I do have a sheet of notes here, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking down at. So it follows a girl named Danica who lives in the Palace of Versailles. Now the special thing about this world is that in Versailles it's kind of like what you would imagine Versailles to be like, I guess sort of like in the 17th century, so, or 17th, 18th century, like with Marie Antoinette, for example. It's that sort of like setting, whereas outside is the modern world. So it follows Danica, who witnesses an act of murder, which she tells her mother about, and then her mother in turn blackmails the young king, who she blackmails him to get a favour with him by saying that he will have to marry her daughter Danica. Danica doesn't want to marry the young king because she sees him as like a ruthless, bloodthirsty murderer, so she wishes to escape. Now the problem with escaping from Versailles is it's impossible without like large amounts of money. So her method to gain money is glitter, which is the name of the book. And glitter essentially is a drug, and so it's a very addictive drug. So she has to deal with managing to get that from a drug dealer who she's also growing emotions for, and then also selling it in Versailles without getting caught as well. So it's like, oh, and Versailles is like a series, like it's like a palace filled with many secrets. So she's got to try and do it without like it being caught, and that's what I think it follows, like in the general thing. Things happen in it as well, probably, but that's what I got from the synopsis. Next is Nemesis by Anna Banks, which is coming out on the 4th of October. So as you can already know, I'm not actually doing this in release date order, I'm just doing it probably by my own preference. Yeah. So Nemesis follows Princess Sephora, who is the last forger of the 5 kingdoms which are in this world. As a forger, she has this special ability which isn't mentioned in the synopsis or anything, so I don't actually know what it is. And her father decides that he wants to use her powers as a weapon, but she doesn't want this because she doesn't want war to be declared in other kingdoms. So she flees to another kingdom where she is captured and then forced to be a servant to the king of that kingdom. So she grows a relationship, like a friendship with that king. But the problem with that kingdom is that there is a great plague going on, and with her powers she could probably cure the plague, but if she cures it, does that mean that the new kingdom's going to try and take advantage of her? And that's what it's kind of a balance between. Next is Fear of the Drowning Deep by Sarah Glenn Marsh, which comes out on the 4th of October. This is a sort of haunting historical book. Yeah. So basically it follows a young girl called Bridie who is a witch's apprentice, and she witnesses, when she's very young, she witnesses her grandfather's suicide. He basically walks into the sea and drowns with a smile on his face, and ever since then, she's always had the fear of the sea, the fear of the water and everything. So she really like has an aversion to it. After her grandfather's death, I believe that Noah accident happened. But when she's 16, in the summer of 1913, a body washes ashore, and that's when they find out that when she suspects that the sea is at it again. Sorry, that's my roommates. So she has to uncover the mystery of the sea in order to save people around her, her friends, her family. And yeah, so she goes on this adventure to discover the ancient power of the sea with the witch who she's apprenticed to and a boy who she actually saved from drowning. And yeah. Next is Bound by Blood and Sand by Becky Allen, which will be released on 11th of October. Now this is actually one of the ones I'm really interested in reading. Like, I really hope that I manage to get it soon, like when it comes out. And it basically follows Jay, who is a girl who's actually a slave, and she is bound by law and bound by an actual curse to follow what her masters instructs her. So yeah, she's really like restricted by that. But then a sort of like plague comes to the land, which is causing the land to die. So this happens because a magical well has dried up. So some of the members of the ruling family are looking for a way to bring back the magic well in order to heal the land, so it'll be revitalized and come back to life again. However, Jay, she doesn't want that to happen. She'd happily die just to escape slavery. But then she finds this like magical artifact or something like that, and she realises that the only one who can use it is her. So she's the only one who can use the magic to save the land. But then comes Lord Ellen, sorry, I can't pronounce it, if I'm who is the son of the ruling family. Like, he's the heir, I guess, of the ruling family. And he makes an agreement with Jay to say that if she brings back the well, revitalises the land, then he will grant her freedom and that of all the slaves in the kingdom, and will abolish all slavery. However, his father is not on board with this plan in any way whatsoever. So yeah, there's that little problem. And finally, I have A Darkly Beating Heart by Lindsay Smith, which comes out on the 25th of October. Now this is also interesting for me because if you've seen my Wattpad review about Draken, I have had a sort of rekindling interest now in like Japanese history. So this story follows a girl named Raiko. This is in the modern period, by the way. So a girl named Raiko who attempts to commit suicide. So her parents send her away back to Japan from where they live in Seattle. So they send her back to Japan so she can be like, she can learn some emotional control. I have no idea what that is, I think that may be the roof. So yeah, they send her to Japan to learn some emotional control. But while she's like travelling around Japan, she visits a historical village, and whilst in that historical village, she experiences a sort of like time travelling sensation where she goes back in time. I can't remember which empire it is, but she goes really far back in time, and she takes on the life. Basically, she becomes this girl named Mayu. Now, Mayu has even more hatred, like, for the world than Riko does. So Riko really enjoys being Mayu. She enjoys like having that sort of aggravation, hatred for the world. But then she finds out that Mayu, she has issues in her life, and because Riko is essentially Mayu now, she has to deal with Mayu's issues along with her own issues. So it's like how she's coping with her anger and her hatred overall with life and the world. But yeah, it sounded so interesting. So as usual, I'm going to make an honourable mention of a book I am definitely anticipating for October, and that is Gemini by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the second book in a series, so that is why it's my honourable mention. And I cannot wait to get to Gemini or any of the other books that I've made on this list. So yeah, please let me know down below of any books that you're anticipating in October, including any sequels to any books, because I'd also be interested to know that. And yeah, so I think that's the end of this video. So thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in another video very soon. So goodbye.